And as long as we're standing on the outside looking in, trying to align ourselves with a system and a group of people that was never designed to include us, we're just allowing them to continue to play in our face. Is that just perception or reality? Or is black or do black folk believe that perception is reality? The phrase perception is reality has become a very popular cliche. I've been hearing that perception is reality over and over and over again lately. And it's used to suggest that what people believe or what they perceive that holds to be true, and that their perception holds as much weight as objective reality. It implies that an individual's subjective experience of the world, regardless of its accuracy, is the only truth that means something or that matters. And so while this statement might be useful in certain contexts, which I can understand, maybe like such as in marketing or public relations or some bullshit like that, where managing perception might be crucial in those sectors. It's ultimately misleading and a very problematic assertion when applied to everyday life and applied to science and applied to politics and applied to interpersonal relationships. Perception is not reality. Instead, it's merely an interpretation of a reality. And these interpretations can be skewed, incomplete, and basically flat out wrong. So let's be real about this. The term perception is reality is a bunch of bullshit. And I'm about to blow your mind explaining why. Yeah, your perception might be your personal experience, but that does not mean it's the damn truth. And just because you think something doesn't mean it's real. If it's like saying, if I close my eyes, the world will disappear. Spoiler alert, you doofus, it doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. Imagine believing something so hard that you ignore cold, hard facts. That's exactly what this lie does. Perception is reality. It tricks you into thinking your opinions or your viewpoints is the absolute truth. But here's the kicker. Your perception is based on flawed and your perception can be biased, flawed, and can be flat out wrong. You know, our brains are wired to see what we want to see and not what's actually happening. Our brain does judo mind trick, to help us justify things that we want to just get away with. Like, look at all the information flying around right now. People live in their little echo chambers, convincing themselves that they're right just because they feel it. But feelings aren't facts. And reality is what it is. And no matter how much you perceive, your perception twists it, facts are facts, and facts don't change. To understand why perception is reality is a false thing, we need to take a little bit of a delve dive into the nature of perception and its limitations. I'm going somewhere. Please stick with me. I'm going somewhere. And I want to show you how easily your perception can be manipulated and distorted And keep in mind, I'm talking about perception here, but I'm really talking about these two fucking political candidates and these two political parties. So please keep that in mind as I go through this. That I'm going through perception and how flawed it can be, but I'm actually making a broader point about these two fucking political parties. Okay. Now, perception by its very nature is subjective. It's shaped by numerous facts, like including personal experience. It's shaped by emotions. It's shaped by cognitive biases, and it's shaped by your cultural influences. This means that two individuals can perceive the same event or situation, and they can view it entirely different from one another. Neither of which may be an accurate reflecting of the incident that happens. They both can be in the same situation and experience it completely different. And the objectivity of the reality of the situation may be lost to both of them because of their perception. And their perception based on the aforementioned things like their personal experiences, the emotions, their cognitive biases, the cultural influence. All of that influences your perception. There's been psychological research that has demonstrated that human perception is prone to error. And that's why in the courts, they almost no longer rely exclusively on eyewitness testimony. There was a case study done on cognitive dissonance. And it showed that individuals often change their perceptions to align with their beliefs. People change their perception to align with their beliefs. The election was rigged. The election was stolen. When it wasn't. The other side, the guy that's born a man can now all of a sudden call himself a woman, and now he's a woman. This phenomenon reveals how perception can be manipulated to reduce a personal discomfort rather than reflect on the harsh realities that is actually accurate. Someone who makes a decision they may regret later might reinterpret the situation to convince themselves it was their best, that what they did was in their best interest. How many of you have encountered this? Someone makes a decision and then later reinterprets the decision to convince themselves that what they did was in their best interest. We see this with our women. Having 4 or 5 different kids with 4 or 5 different baby daddies, they made the fucking decision to do it, but then to make themselves comfortable with the mistake.